Welcome to Photoactive, a podcast about photography and technology. I'm Kirk McElhearn.
And I'm Jeff Carlson.
So you made me laugh a few days ago. You sent me a screenshot. Was this from The Onion or something else? And the article said, new Apple CEO, pretty much the same, but with better camera.
Yeah, I think it was – I'd have to go find it again. But yeah, it was some satirical website. And I mean, I don't know, people who listen to this would not get the joke because we never, ever talk about iPhones and things that are about the same but have a better camera. But
Yes.
Yes, new CEO news, which I think is interesting because, I mean, at CNET, we wrote a bunch of articles about it. You and I, this is a big deal. I think for most people, they really don't care.
Yeah.
But I think for our listeners, like this could have a big effect on, the cameras you get in the future. So I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Well, a lot of the speculation is that, so John Ternus is the guy who's been picked to succeed Tim Cook. As of 1st of September, Tim Cook remains executive chairman, which means he'll still be kissing the ass of politicians in Washington, et cetera. Can we say that on this podcast? This is a family podcast. So.
He's going to be kissing the donkey of a politician, yes.
Right, exactly. And Ternus is a hardware guy. So Steve Jobs was an idea guy, right? He wasn't a developer himself. He probably knew enough about development to, tell a developer what to do, but he wasn't a developer. He wasn't a designer, but he knew how to put all those things together. Mm-hmm. Tim Cook was the operations guy. He was the COO under Steve Jobs. He built up Apple's Chinese manufacturing framework, and the book Apple in China by Patrick McGee is extraordinarily interesting explaining that. And what I've always felt about Tim Cook, and especially in recent years, is that he is an automaton. He never says anything that sounds personal or feels personal. When you see him in photos, his smile looks forced. He doesn't look like he's happy in his role. Maybe he is, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But he comes across as something created by the marketing department. Now, John Ternus, on the other hand, he's a lot younger. He's, late 40s, 50 years
50.
old, something like that? He's 50, which was about the age of Tim Cook when he took over, right?
Exactly the age, yeah.
Exactly the age. A friend of mine just said to me yesterday, John Ternus looks like the prototypical tech bro. Not necessarily a bad tech bro, but he looks like a tech bro. He dresses like a tech bro in clothes that look cheap but probably cost hundreds of dollars per T-shirt. Uh-huh. He's got that tech bro smile, which does look more sincere than Tim Cook's crooked half smile.
Yeah.
And he's got darker hair. So that makes him a totally different person. But he's a hardware guy. He's overseen hardware. And he might change the direction from optimizing the supply chain and recurring revenue for services to innovative hardware products and more focus on hardware products. And the MacBook Neo is a good example that Apple took chips that they were going to throw away and put them in a cheap laptop. And now everyone realizes you don't need to pay so much for the other laptops.
Part of what I think is interesting about the fact that we're throwing out that he's a hardware guy, does this mean that come October there's going to be some, miraculous new groundbreaking hardware? Probably not.
Anything released this October has been in the pipeline for several years.
Totally. And I mean, even when Tim Cook took over and, of course, that was under different circumstances because Steve Jobs had just stepped down due to health reasons. I think Tim Cook's first thing was the Apple Watch, either the Apple Watch or AirPods. It
was the Apple Watch, yeah.
It was the Apple Watch. And so there's the speculation, this is Tim Cook's product and, this is going to define his era, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like that also would have been in the works for years and years and years. So
I think many years because they needed to determine the hardware, the software, what it was for. I mean, if you go back to that first presentation of the Apple Watch in 2015, it's nothing like what the Apple Watch is today. Its focus was really vague. And now they've, narrowed down because we've all been beta testers and shown what to do with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something like that's in the pipeline for multiple years.
Yeah. But I think the key here is just the ethos, because I would say, and I'm trying not to like get sucked into the like, well, analysts say and investors say, but I guess technically you and I are analysts. But
Sort of. We don't get paid like analysts.
we don't get paid like analysts, no. But Tim Cook was really great at growing the business and really great at keeping it going. My absolute favorite Tim Cook story that is only partially related here, but I want to say it because it's been on my mind since he announced the news, was at some point when he was like senior VP of hardware or something, years before he became CEO. There was some problem with a factory in China, some iPhone production line issue, and they're having a meeting, and it's clear this is a big issue. And he looks over at a guy, and I've read this from a couple of sources, so this actually happened. He looks over at a guy and he's like, "Why are you still here?" And the guy gets up, like grabs his things, goes to the airport, doesn't go home and get bags or anything, goes to the airport, flies to China, and deals with the situation. Like that was so typical of Tim Cook. It's like there is a machine and it's not running smoothly, and we're going to make it run smoothly.
Yeah.
And I think that plus the rise of services and Apple TV Plus, Fitness Plus, like all the things, those were things where he could push and innovate and just sort of add on to what it means to be an Apple customer. And so what people are now looking at is, all right, can we go back to something that is going to be an amazing hardware release?
Well, the MacBook Neo, I mean, Ternus has already been managing hardware, so the MacBook Neo is definitely in his wheelhouse. Yeah. And they've also promoted Johnny Srouji, is that his name?
Srouji, yeah.
As a friend of mine said yesterday, Johnny Chips.
Johnny Chips.
He's the chip guy who's been behind Apple Silicon, which is probably Tim Cook's biggest thing that we don't see because it's not a product. It's inside the products.
Yeah, totally. So I don't know. I think people are expecting another iPhone. They're expecting another iPad Vision Pro. Like they want another big thing because that's what's expected of Apple. I don't necessarily know what that could be. I mean, things that are rumored in the pipeline, you talk about like
the folding phone,
eyeglasses, robotic iPad, HomePod combination thing, like these kind of things.
Yeah.
None of them really sound as groundbreaking. And I think it's the Apple trap where people are like, well, it's Apple. They made the iPhone and it changed everything. They made the iPod and it changed everything. Yeah, they might still have that in, like there might be something that could do that. I'm kind of skeptical, but at least we're going to have a guy who is focused on that kind of thing. And when it comes to like phones and cameras, because that's kind of our wheelhouse, I don't think we'll see anything that's very Ternus-y in terms of cameras.
Ternus-esque.
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 That's nice.
But because Apple is limited by the technology available. I mean, they're not designing all of these cameras. They're designing part of them. They're not. They're not building the sensors themselves yet. Maybe they will.
As far as we know, but yeah.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that I think it's Sony who makes the sensors for the iPhone or Samsung, one or the other.
Yeah. Yes, some of those. And I mean, some of the rumors that I've heard are that the cameras in the 18 Pros are going to be a lot different. Like there might actually be a variable aperture this time, things like that. But again, that's something that had to have been in the works for years. So that's all a Tim Cook thing. So I don't know.
It's not going to change overnight.
It's not going to change overnight.
That's the whole point. They don't want it to change overnight. They don't want investors to be worried. They don't want people thinking, "Ooh, the new guy's here. He's going to come out with another Vision Pro, which is going to be a failure." Yeah. They don't want that.
Yeah.
I think a folding iPhone probably won't sell very well. It's going to be too expensive. And really, do you ever think that your life would be better if your phone could fold?
I don't know. Did you ever think that your life would be better if your phone was bigger?
No, because that means it takes up more space in your pocket.
Yeah.
whether it's twice as thick to be able to fold or 1.75 times as thick because it's got two screens and it folds. It just I don't see something like that having moving parts. Something that is, what's the word? Something that puts up with rugged usage that you drop and you stick in your pocket and you toss places and all. I don't see that as having moving parts.
I don't know that a lot of the new foldables from other companies, it seems like they've nailed a lot of those problems, and I would just expect that Apple has come up with something that's going to be slightly better or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's a different price segment as well. It's almost twice as much as a normal phone.
Oh yeah,
and okay, you're going to get people who buy it to show off, like the iPhone Air, and I've got the thinnest iPhone ever, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as being a huge product. I mean, there are status products, right? There are companies that make status products, and that's the kind that draws you into the other iPhones. But Apple doesn't need that. They've got the perceived status of an iPhone is already there, and adding a folding iPhone, I don't think will change that. Maybe if it has two cameras and you can film in 3D, now that's kind of interesting, right? A camera on each side. But what did Steve Jobs say? Consumers don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's true, but it's not always true because look at the Vision Pro, right? I mean,
yeah.
I've been saying for years, Apple needs a big failure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Vision Pro was a big enough failure because given the price, it was clear that there weren't a lot of people who were going to buy it. But it has been a failure. There's no doubt. Even if they just said today that it was used by doctors operating on cataracts, and that's wonderful. But that's not, even if every doctor buys one, that's not going to make it a product that is for the general public.
Well, and Apple is a mass product company.
Yeah.
And so I think that, one reason why that stands out is because like Apple doesn't make anything that doesn't sell in the millions and millions and millions except for this. Maybe the Apple TV, but I think over time, like the hardware box Apple TV has.
I've never seen numbers. Remember when Steve Jobs said it was a hobby?
Yeah.
Or was that Phil Schiller who said that? Someone said it was the Apple TV was a hobby. And I don't think they'll ever discontinue it because it's kind of like it's a brand now that they've used the brand for their original programming. And I don't think they'll discontinue it, even if they don't sell a lot. But I don't see a lot of people who buy it. This said, I do see more and more people talking about how they don't like the fact that their TVs are spying on them and they connect something else to it. And you don't want to connect an Amazon Fire Stick because that's going to spy on you just as much.
Yeah.
It's really the Apple TV that's the most privacy friendly of all these devices. And if they can, get it back. Wasn't there an Apple TV that was $99 some years ago?
Yeah, I think maybe the base one is. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been so long because that release was like 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to disappear. As for the HomePod with a screen, Amazon did that years ago. They've got a Alexa Fire bulging box with a screen kind of thing, and it's not revolutionary. But again, the iPod wasn't revolutionary. There were already other MP3 players.
Yeah,
I've always said that you can't have a device with a screen in one place because if you have to go to that place to use it, it doesn't make sense. If everyone has a phone in their pocket, your smart home control is in your pocket wherever you are. You don't want to have to go into a room to do that. So I could see maybe you dock an iPad or an iPhone onto it using MagSafe, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Google's Pixel tablet does something similar. It docks onto a speaker. But anyway, I would like to see more smart home stuff. And I was telling you before we started, I've got a new boiler in my house, UK, furnace US. And I've set up a smart home system from a company called Tato in Germany with a thing that connects to the boiler and a main thermostat and TRVs, thermostatic radiator valves on radiators in various rooms. And it's really interesting how efficient it is and how much I can save because I'm stuck using heating oil and there's a war on and oil is being strangled. So
yeah.
I'm all in favor of the smart home. I've got scenes to turn on lights and turn things off. I've got automations in the home app, and I'm fine with that. But I do it with my iPhone, my iPad, my Mac, everything. I don't
Yeah.
need a separate device.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question. What if John Ternus, hardware guy, says, you know what Apple has not done or is not currently doing? A camera. What if Apple were to make its own camera?
Well, you do remember that Apple sold the first consumer digital camera.
I do,
right?
yeah.
The QuickTake.
The QuickTake,
back in the day, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I would see that as really interesting. And in particular, I think it's the person who owns the controlling interest in Leica is looking to sell for like $1 billion. I mean, that's chump change for Apple. That's change down between the cushions on the couch, right?
Totally.
Now, Leica does have partnerships with a couple of phone companies. I think Xiaomi and Huawei. They have 2 different partnerships. They also work with Panasonic. So they're kind of in a lot of places. And I mean, what better, can you imagine a Leica owned by Apple? That would just fit perfect. Although it's a bit too luxury for Apple when you think about it.
Well, and I would be concerned that Apple would be like, well, I don't know. As an example, Apple bought Beats, and you can still buy Beats headphones, and a lot of the technology is the same. It's all Apple, but they've preserved that. If Apple were to buy Leica, I can't imagine that Apple would, just sort of dissolve the Leica business and turn it into an Apple camera business.
No, they would keep the brand.
They would keep the brand
because it's an iconic brand.
Yeah. And the fact that you've got people like Phil Schiller, he's an avid photographer. So I could see this possibly happening.
Okay, DSLR or mirrorless? Definitely mirrorless.
Oh yeah, definitely mirrorless.
It would have to be something that is well differentiated from an iPhone.
Yes.
So interchangeable lenses, or maybe not. Maybe a fixed lens. X100 type camera or GR, whatever.
Yeah.
I could see it because there is an increasing popularity of cameras among younger people, people unlike us.
Yeah.
And I can see that instead of the Leica red dot, it would be the Apple little multicolored logo thing. I could see an Apple camera. The problem is no camera company makes just one camera model. So there would have to be multiple models. So let's say a fixed lens and an interchangeable lens that might work with, a particular mount from another company. So you can buy lenses relatively easily. Maybe 2 or 3 fixed lens cameras or something. But yeah, that would be really interesting because what they could do is they could take their computational photography stuff and put it into an actual camera instead of an iPhone with actual possibly changing apertures and larger sensors and all of that.
Better glass.
And that would change the camera landscape like overnight if they did that.
I could totally see Apple even just like not even have a whole line of cameras. Like let Sony and everybody else handle the interchangeable lens market.
Yeah.
Because like that's an established market, Canon, they're great at it, whatever. But I can absolutely see Apple say, we're going to make a small, compact, fixed lens, great optics, large sensor, probably made out of a slab of aluminum. What was the company that came out with something like that just last year?
It was Sigma, and Sigma said it was the first one ever, but Leica already did a camera like that like 5 years ago.
Yeah. So,
out of a slab of aluminum.
So you have something like that, of course, it connects seamlessly to all your Apple devices. You don't have to deal with, maybe it wouldn't even have like a slot for an SD card. It's just all internal.
Oh, no, it would be onboard memory.
And
it would dump your photos immediately into your iPhone, into the Photos app.
Yep.
So if you need more space.
Fast transfer, like the whole thing.
That would be interesting. So, John, if you're listening.
Which we know you are.
You might want to drop us an email because we've got some ideas.
We've got some ideas, yeah.
No, that would be interesting. That would be Apple breaking. So you know how when the MacBook Neo came out and all of these Windows hardware companies started shaking?
Yeah.
And Apple really, they really shot over the bow on that one. And I can imagine that if camera companies were to see an Apple branded camera that would include all the computational photography stuff that Apple does, And it would be the first to have all of that. I mean, there are some camera models that have some computational photography.
Yeah.
But it would be the first to have all of that. This would like totally, blow apart the camera market.
Well, I think it could blow apart part of the camera market because I could see Apple doing the Apple thing, which is, look, we just have this one, or maybe there's like a base level and a pro level, more storage, something, and like it could blow apart the compact fixed lens market because I can see Apple saying, look, we're not trying to take over Sony or Canon. We just see an opportunity because honestly, like there are only a few players in this format. I mean, you have Fuji, you have
there's Fuji, there's Ricoh. I think Sony has
one, but that would be an area where Apple could totally come in and be like, look, we love all these other cameras. We think we have a better way of doing it. This is what we have, and we're not trying to put anybody else out of business externally, maybe internally.
The shakeup would occur when other camera companies see the computational photography stuff that's in it.
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't necessarily need that for a camera with a 600 millimeter lens for shooting birds or whatever, because that's a different type of thing.
Right.
You wouldn't need it for cameras for weddings, although you might. But where you've got
good second camera for a wedding.
Yeah, but I mean, a camera for a wedding with like a telephoto zoom lens and, you need more flexibility for something like that. So, but the addition of the computational photography, we've talked about this before, like a year ago, we were talking about this. What if these camera companies start adding this on into their cameras and they can do more, whether it be, AI zoom or, the 4 trillion operations per second that Apple claims and all of that.
I think we've just talked ourselves into a new product category.
We have. But what's interesting is, so maybe even Apple could come out with a printer, because Fujifilm does really good with their little Instax printers. And of course, Apple and the image writer, that was a huge printer thing. And I know there's people listening who do remember things like the image writer and the quick take.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of people who don't remember what Apple sold back in the 80s and the 90s and how much stuff they did. They basically sold the entire chain that businesses needed, right? Computers, hard drives, monitors, printers, the whole thing. I remember buying my first Apple CD-ROM drive. My God, it was huge. The box was like 8 times the size of the drive. The drive itself was about 2 feet long. And you look at CD drives now. I think it was a CD 150 or something. And because it was like a 4x speed, not a 2x back in the early days.
Oh, I saved up and did like a layaway plan. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. Saved up to buy a StyleWriter 2 printer. It wasn't like the dot matrix, continuous feed. Like it was a nice inkjet printer, fed pages through, and I mean, I thought I was at the height of technology and sophistication when I got my StyleWriter 2 printer. But anyway, we're old.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Canon who manufactured those, right?
Oh, I don't know. It could be.
Apple didn't manufacture them. Yeah. It was someone like that. It's just that they designed them to fit in with their stuff. And, since printers for PCs didn't work with Macs, that was one of the things was making sure that it was compatible with Macs.
Yeah.
What if Apple made a camera? It's going to be a good title for this episode because I didn't plan on us going there. We had another topic for half of the episode, but we're pretty much out of time for that.
Yeah, we can do that next time.
I like that idea. And again, it taps into the growing, I don't want to say love of photography, but the growing attention to photography that younger people have that's beyond just snapping photos, which was, the first 10 years of the iPhone.
Yeah.
And now more people, and as we see that these small compact cameras are selling so well, I hope they make a monochrome version. See, that would be really cool. That would be very Apple, wouldn't it?
I just want our readers to know I'm looking at Kirk, and it was like an aura just like emanated from him when he said a monochrome version.
But that would be so Apple to have a color and a monochrome version.
Yes.
That would.
Yes. Except the color one only comes in 6 colors, No, never mind.
If Apple did a camera, they'd probably do silver and black or charcoal or something like that, or maybe just one, matte finish. They wouldn't do colors because that's a totally different aesthetic. I mean, they're doing that on the MacBook Neo.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the same for a camera.
Colors would be a second or third generation feature.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's enough for this time. Next time, we have a topic that Jeff wants to talk about that's really interesting. He's been looking for things. So until next time, Jeff.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Photoactive. You can find show notes, including any photos we discuss in this episode, at photoactive.co. That's photoactive.co. We couldn't afford the M. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/photoactivecast. That's photoactivecast in one word. You can subscribe to Photoactive in your favorite podcast app or on Apple Podcasts. See the links on our website. And think about leaving us a rating or review in iTunes or in your podcast app.